We reported earlier on major new developments in the Tamir Rice case. A grand jury decided not to bring criminal charges against Cleveland police officers involved in his shooting death. That case is just the latest in a year filled with big legal news. Ricky Kleeman's here with a look back and the cases to watch for in 2016. Ricky, good morning.
Good morning.
There are these calls for calm in Cleveland in the wake of this grand jury decision. Were you surprised?
Ultimately, I don't think I'm surprised by the decision because the material that went into the grand jury, as it's become public as a story, is very different than what we see in Chicago with Jason Van Dyke. In Tamir Rice, one thing we do know from the reports is there was an enhanced video, and that enhanced video supposedly showed this boy who had a pellet gun having that gun in his hand at the time the police arrived. It was a case of complete miscommunication, misunderstanding, and, by the way, lack of training, which brings me to Chicago, because the case of the year in Chicago that is ending 15 and beginning 16 is police officer Jason Van Dyke. Why is his case so different? Again, a video. But what does this video show? It shows that police officers in reports after reports after reports fibbed, and that's a polite way of saying it, that they talked about this young man, Laquan McDonald, moving toward the police. The video appears to be abundantly clear that he was moving away from the police. You had one police officer shoot him 16 times.
Ricky, this is the case that you're watching most closely this coming year.
I think that certainly Jason Van Dyke is a case that we must watch closely this year because it is, and if you go back to 2014 and you go to Ferguson, what happens with Jason Van Dyke in Chicago is not just Jason Van Dyke. It creates a whole political atmosphere that we must be aware of not only in Chicago but nationwide. Ultimately, the lessons learned in all of these police cases is training, training, training. We have got to take police officers and make them able to slow down, both with people who present perhaps because their demeanor is enhanced by drugs, also people who are emotionally disturbed.
And these are emotionally fraught cases. I mean, they've seen political movements grown out of these cases.
Correct.
And in the D.C. area where I live, we are very focused on what's happening in Baltimore.
Well, I think
Freddie Gray.
I think Freddie Gray has to be the case that I will become most involved with for CBS this morning by virtue of the fact there are 6 trials coming up here. The first trial, as we know, William Porter, the end of 2015. He is found nothing, not acquitted, not convicted, a hung jury. Big loss for the prosecution at that point. So where are they going next? We begin 2016 with the driver of the car, Cesar Goodson. Now, when you have Officer Goodson, he is the only one who is charged with murder. It's not a manslaughter. It's not a reckless endangerment, even though they're lesser included offenses. It's a murder. He is the driver of the van where Freddie Gray died. And what we're going to find out in that case is, first of all, can the government prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt? Second of all, which perhaps is first, is can you get a fair trial in Baltimore after the hung jury in the Porter case, the first of the Freddie Gray? These are going seriatim, one after another for months.
Ricky, I want to quickly, before we run out of time here, get to one other case, which is there have been a lot of high-profile sexual assault cases this year. The most prominent, of course, Bill Cosby, who's now suing some of his accusers. What do you make of that?
Well, Bill Cosby was not going to sit idly by since all of these accusations came against him. It's all about defamation. So what his lawyers basically said is, you defame me, okay, I'm defaming you. We're going to do this round and round. It's an aggressive defense. It'll be a big case in 16.
All right. Interesting year ahead. Ricky Kleeman, thanks so much.